Welcome back, everyone, to Bible Talk on this Sunday evening. I want to thank everybody who's tuning in, everybody on the live chat, everybody who decided not to be on the live chat. So I want to remind you guys that just recently I had Julian Torres, a Mexican mariachi artist that is signed to death row. Yes, Snoop Dogg signed him. He made history by being on death row. I just interviewed him a couple of days ago, I believe 3 days ago. Make sure you guys check out that interview if you guys haven't already. I've also had a couple of episodes with News with Norbies. Also, before that, I had a conversation with Marvelous. A lot of you guys enjoy those. And also my boy from Orange County, Oak Creep. So make sure you guys definitely check that out. Before that, I had a controversial episode with Kilo, the Lean Like a Cholo guy. Make sure you guys check that one out. And before that, I had Noel G on Bible Talk. So I want to thank once again everyone for joining us on this episode of Bible Talk. So if you guys didn't get a chance to catch those episodes, make sure you guys go back and check those out. Leave a comment, whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't matter as long as you guys are watching. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it because we have a lot to cover with my guest. Not only is he going to share his ups and downs of what happened in his life, but also his testimony of what has brought him here and this far. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce the one and only Ruben Palomares. Ruben, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
You know, I'm glad you're here. I don't know how far you've driven to be here, but I'm glad that you're here. And other than that, how was your Sunday treating you today?
Good. Had a good morning, good day.
Oh, yeah? Are you a football guy? Do you watch football at all?
Not really. I'm more like just more into of boxing, kickboxing, sports and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, so I take it that you must have saw the Ryan Garcia fight last night.
I did. I watched it last night.
Oh, okay. And what were your thoughts on that?
Since the last fight with Tank, I still lost interest in watching him fight. I just want to see if he's going to do a better comeback with this fight. I think he did his style was different this time. He tried to do more boxing instead of just trying to go toe to toe. I mean, he won the fight. I think if he would have fought that way with the Tank, or at least outboxed him, he might have did better. But
okay. Do you see him getting another title shot?
He's marketable, so I think because he's still young, I'm sure they'll still work him and give him an opportunity. He just got to prove himself again.
Yeah, I think he left a lot of. I think he left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths with that Tank Davis fight. Now, I'll just ask you one question, then we'll move on. When Tank Davis hit him to the body, do you think he could have continued?
I think he could have got back up after take the 8 count and get back up and then continue fighting. I'm not sure how bad the hit was, but some people do get up and recover. You tough it out. But if they're claiming it was one of those either liver or kidney shots that it's difficult to come back up from that one, I don't know. Okay. Well,
Ruben, I'm glad you're here. You know what? And I want to thank Anthony the Rockin' Chicano for connecting us. I started this episode called Bible Talk because I like it when people come here and are able to have an open platform where they get to share their faith, encourage, and bless others with what God has done in their lives, So I know we'll get to that, but for people that may not know who Ruben Palomares is, who is Ruben? Like, where originally did you grow up from? Kind of give us a picture of your family. Where did you grow up at?
We came from Mexico when I was about 1 year old. I grew up, part of my life was in South Central in Huntington Park. And then because I did box in Boyle Heights, East LA, so that was like half of my life there and half of my life in Huntington Park. I did go to Huntington Park High School and Gage Junior High, but it was back and forth because I boxed in Boyle Heights, so I was there every day after school. So pretty much both of those cities were my cities, Boyle Heights and Huntington Park.
Okay, and what part of Mexico is your family from?
My dad is from Jalisco, my mom's from Michoacan. I was born in Jalisco myself.
Okay. Now, it's funny because I look at you and you have blue eyes You have light skin, and you resemble a lot as far as the eyes and as far as the skin complexion as like my father. My father is from Torreon, Coahuila.
All right.
My mother was a very, very dark woman. My father was a very white-looking dude. When we used to go back to Mexico, everybody thought he was a white dude. They always thought that. Today, do you get confused by being a white guy?
All the time. It never ends. I'm still getting confused as a white guy. I've been since I was a kid.
Really? Now, is your mom and dad, complexion as yours?
My mom's she's lighter, but her hair is dark. But I think I really never met my real dad, so I don't know too much about him. But my mom said he was light complected.
Okay. Now you come from a big family. You got a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters.
We're 7 males and 3 sisters, 3 females. Yeah.
Wow. So they had 7 protectors.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. With us, 5 brothers. Well, 6 boys, 4 girls. So almost around the same.
Right.
So that's a good thing. You know what? I enjoy having a big family. Our Thanksgiving's always good. Our Christmases are always good. You know.
Yeah, family's good, huh?
Yes, most definitely. Now, so you grew up. You said South Central, Huntington Park, and then you mentioned Boyle Heights, East LA area. Now you mentioned boxing. At what age did you get into that sport?
12 years old. I did martial arts at 10. I started karate, but then at 12 I started getting into boxing.
Now, who's the one that got you into the karate thing? Was it something did you watch like a Bruce Lee movie and then you told your mom and you said, hey, I want to get into that? How did that happen?
Yeah, I was pretty much a Bruce Lee fan since I was a little kid.
We all are.
All of us were, yeah. And I was, I guess because I grew up in an environment where there was always a lot of fighting going on, and I had a lot of anger issues, so I wanted to know how to fight. So that way, if I do get jumped, at least make it a fair fight.
Right.
And
so you took karate for how long before you got into boxing?
Maybe less than a year, and then I got into boxing.
Now, let me ask you this, okay? Because I know we can teach people self-defense, because that's what karate is, self-defense, if I'm correct, okay? I knew a guy, man, that took karate for several years. He was in his teenage years. And I know you can teach self-defense, but one thing that I've learned is that you cannot teach heart.
You cannot teach heart.
Yeah, okay. And this guy was always getting beat up.
Right.
So I never understood that because he would always stand in his karate stance, but he was always getting beat up. So I would tell him, bro, you took karate all these years and you're still getting beat up. Like, what do you think it is when somebody is it just the heart issue?
It's a mental and heart issue. I think a lot of the times people freeze. They have the fight and flight syndrome. A lot of people look good in the mirror, shadow boxing, or even hitting the bag. But then when it comes into getting to the ring and then sparring or getting punched at, they freeze. And that's something within them. It's something that they have. I don't have that. I never had that. But I do know guys that I train sometimes that have that. And it really, so hard to, they got to break through from something within them. It could be something, childhood issue, something. Because that's not normal. It's not. We all have we're supposed to have like a fighting spirit within us, but not a lot of people. I guess the fear factor kicks in. And so there's 2 fears: the fear that makes you fight to survive, and then the fear that makes you just freeze. Some of those guys have that one that just causes them to freeze and become punching bags.
Yeah, let me share with you the difference between me and my younger brother. All my older brothers were all swing first. Like, you look at them crazy, you say it, they're swinging.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I was never that guy. Now, my younger brother is the guy that I hung out with a lot. He was the same type of guy. Somebody says something like, shut up, stupid, ping, 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 ping. That's him. Me, if I can walk away from it, I'd rather walk away from it. And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because I feared me.
Right.
I feared that I would go too far and hurting someone.
Right.
You said something earlier that I want to touch on. You said because I had anger issues. Now, you're talking about 10 or 11 years old.
Right.
Can you kind of elaborate what developed or why you had those anger issues at such a young age?
I mean, a lot of that stemmed from my childhood upbringing. I grew up with a stepdad. I didn't know he was my stepdad, but he was good. He was tough, but he was an alcoholic. But at the same time, he was in. The toughness was also in an unhealthy way too, because he beat me and call me certain names that start causing me to have a lot of anger and resentment.
Okay.
So then it's like anyone else in the street, anyone that tried to get slick like that, I react and snap and I start messing them up.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? And it's wild because growing up as a teenager, I had so much anger issues, and I'll be honest to Ruben, I didn't know why I had them. I didn't, and it even got to the point where nobody wanted to be around me was because my attitude was so negative.
Right.
You know, I didn't like a lot of people. Oh, that guy's fake. That guy's sorry. That guy this. That guy, and that's all my friends would hear me say. Right. And they would always like, man, why are you always so negative? Oh, I don't like that fool. And I never understood.
Yeah.
You know why that was. I don't know if it was maybe something that I was getting at home.
Right.
You know, but you know, I did have at times older brothers that would pick on me. You know, maybe I didn't do the best in school as far as grades, and they used to call me burro.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I would just get angry and I want to take it out on somebody. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because I'm sure we have parents right now that probably have youngsters like that. And before it gets out of hand, maybe we ought to have open communication with our kids, with the next generation of children.
Yeah, it's important. Plus words. Words have power. If you call your kids pendejo, stupid, burro, you're going to mess with their head. You're going to mess them up. Psychologically, emotionally, you are going to mess them up because you're the parent. You're supposed to build them up, even if they do make mistakes. But our culture, our Hispanic culture, our parents weren't taught how to talk to us in a way that was going to help us. You don't have to be all chiquiado and stuff or try to be all Mr. Lovey-dovey and like overdoing it, but in a way that you're going to help the person develop, you know?
Yes.
And a lot of our parents weren't taught that. My stepdad was abused in Mexico a lot by his real dad, and he saw his dad beat up his mom a lot, so he came with a lot of anger issue. Alcoholism was one of his ways to cope. So he probably was not intentionally trying to beat me all the time and call me these names, but that's how he was processing. That's how he dealt with stuff. And to me, it was like, all right, he wants to make me tough. F it. I'm going to make me tough then. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
I took like that.
So you took martial arts as far as karate is concerned, and then you got into boxing. What did you like better, or did you like both?
I actually, there's different martial arts out there. I only was introduced to one karate back then at 10 years old, so it wasn't something I was too into because more like katas and you know, just moves that it's old traditional karate. I really didn't like it too much, so I got into boxing and I fell in love with boxing. Boxing was more fun for me because when you're in the ring, it's you and that guy, and you're able to punch the guy out, or he's gonna punch you out. But it's you have to develop the skills to beat that guy, or you're gonna get beat up. But it's 1-on-1, and you have to think a lot. You have to study just how to beat your opponent, and it challenges you. And then you have to learn how to get in shape, the discipline, a lot of stuff that comes with boxing that helps you as a person.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Now, tell me if this is true, because since we're talking a little bit about your boxing experience, I've seen guys that were maybe weighed 150, maybe 155. No, he weighed about 145, between 145 and 155, okay, that weight limit. And he was knocking dudes out on the street that were like 250.
Right.
Tall dudes, not knocking them out. He had heavy hands. But when he started boxing and he stepped into the ring, is there a difference? Because he couldn't fight. He didn't have that same heart. What do you think it is? Is a street fight different for the people that are watching it than stepping into the ring?
It's different, and there's more skills in the ring that you have to develop, because if you run into a guy that has skills in the ring and you don't have those skills, and you might have been a good street fighter knocking people out with that one-hitter quitter, the guy in the ring that has skills he's gonna slow your roll. He's gonna humble you with his skills. Okay. And he could be even lighter than you, and just because of the skill he has, he'll put it to you. Yeah,
because I would have seen him fight in the street, so I'm thinking this guy's gonna be the next 140-pound champion, you know. But when he stepped into the ring, he was afraid to throw him because the guy was a great counter puncher.
Right.
And I was like, man, how come you just don't knock him out? You know, and he was like, I can't hit him. And I'm like, you're knocking out guys that are 250 on the street.
They can't box. He could box, so he was hitting guys that couldn't box in the street, so he was taking advantage with his weapons, with his tools.
Yes. Okay. So how long did you do boxing?
I boxed for, I started when I was 12. I was going to the Olympics in 92, so I started at that age till 92. I started getting, all those years I started getting to the competition of it. Okay. Golden gloves, diamond belts, fighting all over the world pretty much, and getting medals and stuff. My goal is to go to the Olympics in 92.
In 92, okay.
I got injured, and then from the injury, I I didn't leave boxing, but I didn't pursue the boxing career anymore. I pursued a different career because to me, there's a lot of politics in boxing, and I knew that I wanted the gold medal because once I get the gold medal in my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna run my own program. I get a gold medal. I'm gonna be my own manager. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna let nobody run nothing for me because a bunch of crooks in the boxing world too. So,
really? Okay.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna let nobody run my program. So if I didn't get that medal, I'm not gonna turn pro because then as a pro, you got to work harder, and then people are gonna take your money. When you have a manager, he has to take a cut. You have the trainer has to take a cut, but you put it on that work. So in my head, I'm like, nah. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do. I take a different route.
No. You mentioned you traveled around the world. So you started karate, if I'm correct, at 10. Around 11, you started boxing. So at what point after 11 did you start traveling?
Like at 15, 16, they'll pay my trips to go to different parts of the country first, and then I got older. They paid for to go to Australia, Canada to fight road game tournaments, big tournaments.
Oh wow! And now let me ask you this because I obviously I don't know your history in boxing. Were you actually good?
Yeah, I was good. I sparred with guys like De La Hoya, Shea Mosley. I sparred with the top guys that became champion. I was sparring with those guys.
So you were sparring with De La Hoya,
Shea Mosley,
Shea Mosley.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned another guy.
I fought Rafael Perez when we were like 16, 17 years. I beat him in a fight, but I gave him 3 standing 8 counts, but they robbed me. They gave me the fight.
Rafael Perez.
He wouldn't admit it though.
Was he still trained by Goosen?
He was still trained by Goosen. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I went to a lot of Rafael fights, also Gabriel fights too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there when Gabriel beat Jesse James Leija.
I remember that fight.
That was a good fight.
And they're both tough.
Yes. And then I was very disappointed because he wanted that fight with De La Hoya, and he got it handed to him.
Beat up.
He got beat up. Plain and simple.
He got beat up.
I mean, De La Hoya, look, I was never a De La Hoya fan, and I'll be honest with you. And one day, if I ever interview De La Hoya, I want him to tell me, why didn't you like me?
Right.
And I'll tell him. But De La Hoya just looked on a whole different other level.
Yeah, he was.
And I don't know, but I wish those guys well. But now, so you fought him, and I believe you said you beat him, but they robbed you from the fight.
Yeah.
Now
you said his hometown.
Oh, okay.
Politics.
Okay. Now you said that there's a lot of crookedness in the boxing. Can you give us an example?
Well, I don't have the trust in boxing anymore because they fix fights now. I mean, not all fights are fixed, but then the guy that's actually really good trying to make it, sometimes they got to work too hard to make it, and then they don't want you to make it. They won't let you make it. And the guys that are really not that good sometimes just make it by whatever strings they're pulling or whoever they know. It's not like it used to be. And there's a lot of money, a lot of gambling, a lot of betting involved in boxing too that's causing people to say, well, some of the guys have ended. Some fighters have ended. Some of them admit it, some won't. I think Malomero Páez years ago admitted to vendiendo said a long time we had in an interview.
Yeah, I lost all respect for Malomero Páez because I know he sold himself when he took that fake body shot to De La Hoya.
Yeah. Sí se venden, so I mean, I already know. So
for those of you who don't know what se venden means, they sell out pretty much.
Sell out.
Let me go ahead and take a dive. Pretend you're going to hit me. I'm going to say ow, and I'm going to go out for the standing 8 count and pretend I'm in agony.
Yeah.
And I think De La Hoya went out when he fought Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's the disappointment in the sport today, that people would rather just take this.
They take the money. It becomes a business now. It's a business.
Yeah.
And the real good guys out there could be good, want to make it, but they're not given the opportunity, and they're sweating blood, and they're getting their asses beat. They're training hard, and they're not given that opportunity. Who should get it? But it's just it's a dirty sport.
Yeah. So now, okay, it's you're training and you're fighting to go to the '92 Olympics.
Yeah.
What happened to you that you weren't able to make it?
I broke my thumb, and then I got ear and throat infection, fever, and I couldn't get to the trials. It's like a box off. You have to fight this tournament to get to the box office, and I couldn't fight that tournament because of that. So I was upset. And then I was born in Mexico. I thought about, well, if not too late, I could still go to Mexico and fight for Mexico. But it was too late. So that pissed me off. I invested a lot of years and hours and days and sweat and everything to get there. And I fought a lot of tournaments everywhere just to get there. So that's a lot of work.
So you qualified to go then?
I was going to qualify because I was there. Basically, it was a tournament for me to fight to get there. And it wasn't a hard. I was gonna get that tournament. I was confident.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What weight class would have fought in the Olympics?
125. 125 featherweight. Yeah.
Okay.
De La Hoya fought 132, and I was going to do 125.
So peso pluma.
Peso pluma featherweight, yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. So that was a big disappointment. So what
Yeah.
happens now to Ruben Palomares after you cannot fight? What is Ruben thinking now? What am I going to do with my life?
Well, because I grew up around one of my coaches was a retired, active L.A.P.D, Al Stanky.
Uh-huh.
And he was a mentor to me, but also had a couple mentors. Memo Arreola was my mentor. He was my trainer too. Al Stanky was my mentor, my coach. So I had a solid guys that taught me the art, but also other stuff that I learned, like discipline from them. And Al Stanky would help us guys in that area. Like even Paul Gonzalez won the 84 Olympics. Al Stanky was his trainer. He got him out of the inner city. The projects got him into boxing. He became a gold medalist and then got some titles. Adrian Arreola. A lot of guys that were solid coming up from Boyle Heights, East LA. They were solid boxers, but I saw Al Stanky how he looked out for us as youngsters, and I thought in my head I could be a cop and then be a mentor, help the youngsters out here, and do something positive with my background.
Yeah.
And I started pursuing police department.
Okay. And about what age would you say?
I was 22, 21 and a half when I started when I took the test.
Okay. So how old were you when you didn't qualify for the Olympics?
But 21 because it's 92 Olympics, so it's like 21 plus before the trials, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. And
back then, yeah.
Okay, so and then soon after, that's when you said, let me try out for the L.A.P.D.
L.A.P.D, yeah.
And, to try out for the L.A.P.D, what is it that you have to do? I don't know, and maybe some of our viewers don't know. Is there a lot of running? Is there a lot of physical ed? Is there a lot of, tests that you have to, what exactly is it that somebody has to do to qualify to become an L.A.P.D?
Well, first, you have to go to the academy and take a written test. The written test, back then, I don't remember if there was a lot of notes to study or booklets to study, but I was doing my own little research as best I could back then without Google, none of that stuff.
Of course.
Back in the 90s, no Google, no cell phones or nothing. So whatever I could come up with, I just researched stuff. And then I went and took the written test. The written test, just I think scenario questions, common sense questions they ask you. And then once you pass that test, they schedule you an oral exam where you have to interview with 2 sergeants and a civilian. And then they ask you a few questions. Why do you want to be a cop? What makes you qualify? What makes you think you're going to be a good cop? Just certain questions you got to prepare for because they want to hear certain solid answers.
What are some of those solid answers? Like what is it that they want to hear?
You gotta tickle their ears with BS them, I guess, because really what you're telling them, you're really not going to do it. I mean, you're going to tell them, well, I want to be a cop because I want to
protect and to
serve. I want to be a role model for my community. Something, I guess, they prep you up because I studied and asked questions. I asked a couple lieutenants, a captain, friends of mine that I grew up around because they grew up in Hollenbeck, Houston. The police station was next door. So as I was coming up in boxing, I was getting to know a lot of these guys. So I would ask them questions. So what are they going to ask me? And they'll prep me up and they'll tell me, this is what they're going to ask you. This is how you should answer.
Okay.
So I was ready for the questions. I took I passed the written test and I went to take the oral interview and I did like a 97 out of 100. So I did pretty good. And during that time, they were hiring a lot of Latinos, mujeres, women, and blacks, and maybe even Asians. So we're looking at that. So the whites were like on the bottom of the list. So really? I knew, yeah. So I'm Hispanic. I read and write, speak Spanish. So not because of that, but I knew I was going to get in because of my hard work. And I took that test. I got 97. And then the next test is a physical test. Okay. I was in good shape, so they send you to a physical test. You take that. You have to run, do some pull-ups, push-ups, something like that. I forget the whole detail.
And how long is that training or those tests? For a month or so, or is it?
It took me, just to get through all that process, it took me like 11 months.
11 months, wow.
Because then I have to go through the psych. I got to go through the backgrounds. Backgrounds would take a little longer because they go ask people, your family, your friends, or someone questions about you.
Really?
Your character, what kind of person are you? They just start asking all these little questions about you as a person. Mm-hmm. And then when you've already been through all that, and then the doors open for hiring, they put you on the academy list to start the academy.
Oh, okay.
So in 1993, I get a phone call that I'm scheduled for the academy.
And how long is the academy?
7 months back then.
7 months. And where is this academy? Is it out of state or is it?
It was by Dodger Stadium. That old police academy by the Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the academy I was in. And you're there every morning. You got to be there early in the morning. I think it was like 5 in the morning. You start your training. It's physical. It's also classroom. written stuff, law stuff, what else? Tactical stuff, shooting, you name it. Human relations, where you have to learn how to talk to people a certain way. All kinds of stuff. But it's not, it is what it is.
Well, okay, before you got to the academy, before you got that call, you said everything to prep you was 11 months. Do people ever drop out and just say, forget it, I'm done? And what are the odds of somebody making it? Is there a lot of more people making it than there are not? Or is it about even?
I think it's about even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They try to, what do they call it? Weed people out too, because when the backgrounds, they do try their best to try to make sure they don't hire crazy people or people that are just in there to be, corrupt or whatever the case may be.
Or bullies, maybe.
Or bullies who people that got that badge, that got that power trip. Because there's a lot of different people. Some do make it to the cracks, though. Don't get me wrong. Some people skate to the cracks.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're in this academy. It lasted 7 months. What happens after the 7 months? Is there a ceremony, or do you get sworn in?
Yeah, you get a ceremony. You get sworn in. You get the ceremony. You get your certificates. Whatever awards you get awards. And the academy gives you certain awards, and because of the way you perform in the academy, certain people get a certain award. Like one recruit might get the tactical award. Someone might get the physical award. Unbeknownst to me, I had taken all the awards for the academy.
Oh, wow.
I was intense. I like the physical challenge. I like the tactical challenge. I like the challenge, and just I'm competitive.
Right. Now let me ask you this. Now, so after the ceremony, you get sworn in. When do you start your job?
Right away, maybe the next day, and they assign you a station to work at, because L.A.P.D has 18 divisions, 18 stations. So if you score high in the academy, you get to pick the station you want to work at.
Oh,
so
okay.
Because I scored high, I asked to go to South Central and Watts. I went to Watts because I knew the area, so I just like the I guess I'm an adrenaline junkie since I was a kid, and I like the action. So I picked South Central, and I got assigned to Watts.
Now, wasn't at that time, because again, I'm 55. I went through the whole gang and crack epidemic in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then it leaked into the 90s. So
Yeah.
when you became a cop, that was at an all-time high.
It was an all-time high. There was a lot of people walking around like zombies in South Central everywhere. The crack houses were still heavy duty out there. You had active crack houses, crack kids everywhere, people going to houses buying their nickels or tens and with dimes and running from you or breaking into cars because they wanted to get that crack.
Is there some people, okay, for an example, because in late 88, I think 89, me and my homeboy are driving. We don't have nothing, but my homeboy is an active gang member, okay? Cops pull us over. What do you got? Get out of the car. They put us on the curb. You know, sometimes they handcuff us or whatever. They search everything, give you a cavity search pretty much.
Pretty
okay?
much, yeah.
They check out his whole car, nothing. They let you go, okay? There were times, though, when he might have had a little bit of weed, maybe a little bit of crack, because he liked to smoke Primos.
Right, I remember that.
Some of the times, the cops just like, okay, I'm going to take this, get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. What would the cops do with that?
For that, they'll just dump it. They'll get rid. They're not trying to do a whole process of a report for something small like that.
Uh-huh.
Some cops would just they do that. They call it the spirit of the law. They got the letter and the spirit of the law. They seem to expect you sometimes to book somebody on that, but it's petty.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you want to get the guy because he's been a jackass and he's been a dirtbag and he's been like slick with you, you might use it just to book him. Oh, you want to be a jerk? Okay, I'm gonna book you on this then. And now you got power over him. Okay, either that, you're gonna work for me. I'm gonna get you to flip or something. There's always leverage, but then again, you could be cool and say, look, you know what, just get out of here.
Now,
go home and smoke your weed.
I will say this: there were times, and these are not dudes from my neighborhood, but I knew dudes from Long Beach, dudes from Compton, dudes from South Central, and a couple of times I just happened to be rolling with them. One thing that I did notice that whenever we get pulled over, some of these guys were quick. It's not mine, it's his. Mm-hmm. It's not mine. And I'm like, bro, like
that's the homeboys out there. That's what they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I worked Crash, that's what they did a lot of times. A lot of the gang members. I'm not giving no names up, but there was a lot of gang members that were telling on their homeboys and working for us as informants. They tell us, hey man, we're about to do a drive-by. We're gonna go down the street. We're gonna be driving these two cars. Pull us over, and then we stop them, hit them, and take them down. 2 cars loaded with guns and everything. They're about to go do a drive-by against MS-13. Bam, got you. And our informant was going to work for us. We're going to take care of him, make sure he's out in the street running his thing, but he's going to work for us, and he's going to be looking out for us.
Now, when a person like that works for you, is it because you guys obviously have something on him and he could get locked up, so he'd rather trade info so that he can be free?
Well, a different reason. He could be, for that reason, we might have some stuff on him, or because we're letting him work and do his thing out there, and he's double dipping. He's working for the homeboys.
Oh.
He's working for the M-Man. He's doing some work, but he's also working for us, and they don't know it. So he's still operating out there, making money, and he's looking out for us too. And we would just like look the other way.
Is there a lot of them?
There was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So L.A.P.D. How long were you a part of the L.A.P.D. before you, I guess, went on to being a crash unit? Because I don't know, so that's why I'm asking like that.
So I worked South Central for about 6 months.
Okay. And
then I got a phone call from this unit called I think it's Undercover Narcotics School. It's the high school byprogram, they call it, but it's really 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
So they call me and say, hey, you know what? We talked to some guys out here. They recommended you for this unit. So are you interested in working this unit? I said, you know what? I heard my buddy told me about it. It seems like it might be an opportunity for me to check out. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So what they do is they get me out of patrol, and now I'm undercover, and I'm going back to high school.
What? Really?
Yeah. So they go and train me how to walk the walk, talk the talk, and I need to learn how to buy the dope in the school and infiltrate like a student, like an 11th grader, and find out who's selling dope, or there's guns in school, who's doing this, who's doing that. But I'm a student. I'm an 11th grader, and I got to play the part. I got to be a little rebel, but I can't be extreme rebel where I get kicked out of school. I got to just be in school.
Did you look like a teenager?
Yeah, like a youngster, yeah. I look young back then. I look like a little travieso young kid.
Now, did the school know you were undercover?
Nobody knows. The principal knows that they're undercover cop, but he or she does not know who they are, because you never know. They might be selling dope, and they might roll on you and get you killed.
Wow.
So you have to be you're undercover, but you have your detectives, which are their caseworkers for you. Your detectives, your lieutenant. You report to them. You go to school like a student. You go ditching. You go hang out, do stuff, and act like a student. But your goal is to buy drugs or buy guns, find out who's doing what, and then eventually, like in a few months, you end up doing like a sweep. They call it a sweep. They all get booked. They start calling the kids to the auditorium, and they're all getting booked. Like, say 50 kids got booked on, they all sold me dope or a gun, whatever. And they're like, fuck, it was you.
Did anybody ever, like, I guess, blow your cover? Like, hey, bro, you don't look like a teenager, or anything?
No. I mean, it's funny because the idea of the youngster, they think that if you're undercover, you have to tell them, so that they're like, are you undercover? I go, no, are you? You need to tell me you play that role. You got to flip it on them. But no, I mean, sometimes you might have to smoke weed if you're hanging out and doing stuff. And
really?
One day I was in a car ditching with the kids. I had my undercover car. It had like 5 or 6 kids in the car with me. We're ditching. We're going to go to school. And they rolled up a Primo. And they want to start smoking in the car. And they're trying to pass it to me because I'm driving. So I said, I'm not going to smoke. I'm on probation. So, you got to like kind of have a lie. You have to have you're like an actor. You have to know how to act, and you have to play the role, because you can't get made, and then you're gonna you have to walk.
You kind of remind me of Deep Cover. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Deep Cover.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So there you are.
So what would you just walk up to somebody and say, hey man, let me get a 20?
No. Once you're in school, you start like letting people get comfortable with you, like they think you're like one of them, and then from there on you start finding out who's selling one. Then you start saying, hey, anybody wants to sell 20 or 50, whatever, because you're making them think you're gonna buy it to go sell it in your neighborhood or your friends or something.
Right. Okay.
So así me empezaron, and then that's how he started selling me dope. And then I eventually met a guy in school who was gonna sell me PCP, and that's where everything started changing for me, because that day I was gonna buy PCP off some guy, and we had pagers. So he told me, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna let you know how much I have. I'll page you so you can call me and let you know how much I have, so you can bring the money tomorrow to school. So he paged me like at 9 p.m. on a Thursday, 1994. He gives me a page. I go to the payphone calling. While I'm on the payphone calling this dude and setting up the buy for the next day, I get approached by 2 older gang members. At gunpoint, they try to rob me at the payphone.
Oh, wow.
So I got in a shootout right there at the payphone. And that was where I got my first shootout. And I shot it out with the guys. I got shot both my legs. I shot the guy. And that's when I started changing into a different person.
Okay, we'll get to that. I want to say it was probably 89, and I was just a nickel and dimer selling 20s, okay?
Right.
To buy records, to whatever, needles for my turntables or whatever. That's all I did it for. But there was a guy, he was from the north side.
Mota?
No,
Crack.
Crack.
Oh, okay,
crack,
yeah, crack.
La coca.
Yeah.
And what happened was, he brought this one girl, young girl. She used to drive one of them old Carmen Gias.
Right.
And good-looking girl también. But she didn't look like she smoked.
You look shady.
She actually, I mean, she was just too good looking
Right.
to look like you don't smoke crack. So my first giveaway was when she came up to me, she goes, hey, you know, your friend told me blah, 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 that I could buy from you. And then she says this, can I get like $20 worth of crack?
Oh, yeah.
And I just looked at her, and that was the first red flag.
She's a narc.
Yes. So I said, okay, I'll be back. Give me 1 sec. So I came back, and I gave her a small one. We would say I pimped her.
Right.
And when she went, ooh, this is a nice one, I knew she was lying.
Right.
So I told my homeboy, I said, like, hey, bro, like, this is a girl. She drives a Carmen Gia. She looks good. I don't think she smokes.
Right.
Okay. So about a week later, I'm buzzed. I'm drinking, hanging out. She pulls up again. And she says, hey, what's up? And I was like, what's up? She goes, you want to go for a ride? And I said, where are we going to go? I don't know. Can you get some stuff? And I'm, what stuff? And she wouldn't tell me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'll go with you. But take me to the liquor store. Let me go get something to drink. She took me to the liquor store. When I came out, she was on the phone booth. And I heard her say, he's with me in the car.
Oh.
So, and I was like,
set you up.
yeah, I was like, okay. So we went back. I got out of the car and I told everybody, hey, bro, I think this girl's a cop. Yeah. Okay, so we left her alone. One of my homies saw her, thought she was good looking, kept selling it to her. A couple of days later, they actually raided this pad. She was there.
Yeah, she was a narc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back then, we just saw them all the time. And, you know, I think that if you're going to throw somebody into the jungle like that, at least train them properly, not to say, give me $20 worth of crack.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't train. The problem is not just that. A lot of them don't have no street smart. And they've been like, when I worked undercover, they had a lot of other undercovers that really sucked at it. They didn't know how to talk. And they were just obvious that they're narcs. So they're putting them out there and they can get themselves killed.
Yeah.
And beat up and you name it. And I seen that a lot too. And I'm like, this is the department don't care. They don't care. They just put you out there because they want the numbers. They're not caring about your safety or life because they just want the numbers. And to me, I saw that from early on in my career. I started seeing the way the department operates on the officers. So the officers start becoming a number to them. And I seen a girl one of the undercover cops got raped in high school.
Really?
Yeah, she got raped in the high school. And you know, a lot of things like that would happen sometimes because they don't even know how to fight. Some of them don't know how to fight. So you're like throwing them out there. You can't even carry your gun on you when you're working undercover. So to me, I didn't care. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm still going to carry my gun. And I don't care. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm going to go undercover. I'm going to be not carrying my gun. You're going to get me? No. Yeah. Fair fight.
Okay, so you were telling us that, I guess, at a phone booth, or if I'm correct, you got into a shootout with somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that happen? Did they just see you like? Okay.
It was a random robbery.
Oh.
I was setting up that dope deal on the phone, and a car was driving by with 3 guys in it, and they saw a potential victim and stuff. They turned the right corner, they dropped 2 guys off, and they walked up and put a gun onto my stomach, and then on my stomach, and they said, "Give me your wallet, I'm gonna effing kill you." And I'm like, I don't have a wallet. So just, here's some money. You can have my money. You can have my key, but I ain't got a wallet because I have my badge in my wallet. Oh. And I have my 9mm in my rear waistband. So I said, I'm going to distract these dudes because if I don't distract them, they're going to find it. I'm going to still fight you. I'm still going to fight till whatever happens, right? So the 2 guys were on me. One was in front of me. The other guy was to my left, and he was going through my pockets. And the more he got closer, I ended up smacking his hand. I backhanded him in the face, and I grabbed the other guy's gun. So we started fighting for the gun. We went to the ground, and I still had the barrel, trying to point it towards his face, and his partner started kicking me. So I was using one hand to block kicks, the other hand to try to pull the guy's gun away. He's able to pull the gun away from me and stand over me. As I see the barrel, the bullet in the barrel getting too close to my head, I grabbed the guy's kick, throw him over me, got up. As I got up, he shot around and hit me in my right leg. I turned on him, and he shot me in the left leg, and I started shooting at him. I just chased him and shot him, and that was that shootout. And they turned the corner. The driver picked him up, took him Martin Luther King. Killer King. Oh, okay. And that's when he got arrested.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that's when things started, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, things started going downhill for you, you said.
Well, because that shootout did a lot of different things to me.
Okay.
Not just to me emotionally, psychologically, but what I started seeing with the department too, the way the department treats people, officers.
Okay.
So that's where I started losing respect for the department too.
Okay. So obviously you had to heal from these before you go back out.
I kind of healed. I didn't fully heal physically because they sent me back undercover to the high school with crutches and fresh bullet wounds.
Really?
They wanted me to go make some arrests. They care more about the numbers instead of my physical, my well-being. And that's the part I was bringing. The management in the department, they don't really think that, hey, this dude needs to recover because he just got into a shootout and he just got shot and he just shot somebody and he's got some mental issues now or whatever.
Yeah.
They set his ass to work, get back there and get some hook and book, go get some more numbers, go get some arrests. And I started taking that personal. I started saying, F these guys.
Forget those guys, yeah.
Yeah, I started saying, F these guys. They don't care about me. So I'm not going to be that guy. So I did go back to undercover work, and I did that for finished at school, and then I left the unit. I left the unit mad at the lieutenant and the guys, the detectives, because I saw how they were just thinking about themselves. Because as an undercover cop, you don't get the credit for the arrest; they get the credit for the arrest.
Wow!
So they get the numbers and they get the promotions. And in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, F you guys.
Yeah.
So that's when I went to Rampart Division.
Okay, what's the difference now? Because you were L.A.P.D. crash unit, now Rampart Division.
Rampart Division is just a division. It's west of downtown LA, but it's because it's a well-known area that's very. Back then, it was very active with gang violence. That if you want to be one of those cops that wants to promote to SWAT and all the elite units, you got to come from a division where you've been involved and you know what it's like to be in the crazy stuff, where the violence is at, where the gang stuff is at, because you don't want to be a cop that's not road tested, that hasn't been broken in, that hasn't been involved in nothing, that just one of those chumps that doesn't have a clue what he's doing with a badge,
Yeah. Now, I know I'm going to jump a little bit ahead, but I kind of want to work backwards once I bring this up. Okay, so you were in your 20s still at this time?
Yes.
Okay, at what age were you arrested that you ended up doing 16 years, if I'm correct?
I was 31.
31.
31.
So you went to Rampart. What took place before you were arrested? Like, what was going on with Ruben's life as a Rampart Division officer?
Well, Ruben at that time was thinking he's still going to do a pretty good job as a cop. Even though I left that undercover unit, I still believed in what I wanted to do as a cop. So when I joined Rampart Division itself, just the patrol division, I was just patrolling because I got out of the undercover unit. I still had to go to patrol to finish my probation because they give you a year probation. I hadn't finished my probation.
Oh, okay.
So they put me with a training officer who was a 20-year veteran, and he's got to pretty much teach me the ropes because they want you to make sure that you know that you're covering other policy stuff like report writing, tactics. So then that way you can pass probation. So I'm assigned to this guy. I only have a few months left of probation. So while I'm working patrol, I'm still thinking I'm still going to be a good street cop or just a good cop. I get off probation, and then I get assigned to patrol with another partner now. Now we're not rookies anymore. We're off probation, so we got something in us, right? So we're just working patrol for a while, and then maybe a year later, the Rampart crash, recruit me.
Okay.
They found out my reputation. I got a Medal of Valor for that first shootout.
Yes.
So that alone could show them in their mind that this guy's road tested. He's been through it. He knows what's up. He's not gonna buckle under pressure. He handled business when he was there in the heat. So they like that stuff.
Yes.
They want to make sure they could trust you. You're not gonna be a freeze. And they asked me, hey man, we've been looking at did a little background on you. The sergeant hit me up. He said, I want to see if you're interested in working crash. So 22 guys in crash, and they vote you in pretty much.
Oh, okay. They
vote you in. They want to make sure you're trustworthy and other stuff. They look at a lot of stuff, character, personality, different stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to think about it, Sarge. And during that time, I had already opened my martial arts gym. I had a gym in Whittier, so I had a boxing, kickboxing, MMA gym back then, 96. So I'm like, you know what? Let me think about it. And I told him to hold off. I'm going to hold off a little bit. Maybe like 6 months later or so, then I decided to go back. I go into crash.
Okay.
So now I'm in crash, and I'm assigned to MS-13.
Wow.
My partner that I was assigned with, he's a veteran in crash. Excuse me, he's been a veteran. He's been working in crash for 5 years, assigned to MS-13. So he's broke. He's trained. You know what he's talking about. You know how to deal with the gang stuff out there. I grew up around the gang stuff, so it was natural for me because I grew up around family members who were involved in gangs and friends. So I knew from people from Florencia, everywhere. So I know the ins and outs, but not deep politics yet because I wasn't in it.
Right.
But I understood it, so I knew how to talk to them because I have friends and family from there. So I'm not going to be out there thinking I'm all that. I know how to talk to people.
Right. At that point in time, when you joined the Rampart crash unit, according to you guys, if there was one, who was the biggest gang in all of LA? Was there such thing as the biggest gang in all of LA?
Well, numbers wise, you have a lot of 18th Street has a lot of cliques. MS-13 has a lot of cliques. Florencia has a lot of cliques. So you could say those are like the bigger number wise because they recruit so many and they have so many cliques spread out.
Okay.
Because you could say Maravilla is the older gang, White Fence is the old gang. They're older, but they don't have those big numbers. And they have some little cliques, but they don't have the big numbers.
Right.
So yeah, MS, 18th Street, Florencia, they have numbers. They have cliques, a lot of cliques.
Okay. And so you were assigned to MS-13. So what takes place, if you can kind of slowly walk us through to your arrest? What was happening in Ruben's life when you joined?
In the 90s, MS and 18th Street, there was a lot of gang wars. So pretty much I'm assigned to this unit, and I start seeing a lot of the victims, how they're terrorized, how they're being beat, bullied, robbed, you name it, by the gang members.
Yeah.
And they're not going to press charges because they're in fear for their life. So a lot of times they'll tell me or my unit, hey, man, you know what, this is going on, but we don't want to press charges. So because I was introduced to this unit was known to be a bigger gang against gangs.
Yeah.
And it was known. And everywhere. The gangsters knew that Crash was a big gang too. Because we deal with gangs the way gangs are supposed to be dealt with. That's just the rules back then.
Yes.
So I don't like bullies, never liked them, and I don't like people taking injustice. I don't like injustice, and I feel that came from my childhood. The way my stepdad used to whoop on me made me not like bullies, period.
Yeah.
And I just don't like injustice. I don't like people taking advantage of innocent people. So I tell the gangsters, like, man, you guys want to mess with innocent people, we're going to have problems. You guys could deal with each other, chingense.
Yeah.
Si van a pelearse o matar, hey, that's your guys' life. But when you guys mess with innocent people, we're going to have problems. So there was a guy from MS who was robbing people and, threatening them to kill him if they snitched. When they told us, I go get the guy anyways and put dope on him. Instead of getting for robberies, I'll put dope on him and book him.
Wow.
And then I just deal with the problem, thinking I'm doing something good for the community.
Do you believe a lot of cops did that?
It was known that there was a system that was been in operation for a long time that was that way.
And do you think? And again, I'm asking because I don't know, but I've had friends that in the past, and I'm not saying by you guys, just in general, that they knew that this guy was a big time dope dealer.
Right.
They knew that this guy was active in the neighborhood, but they couldn't catch him, so they planted something on him.
Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
That happened back then. It happened a lot. And again, it's a cat and mouse game. And if you're a bigger gang and you want to win because you think you're going to beat me, I don't think so. And that's how they operated back then. I don't know what's going on now, but I mean, gangsters knew the system too. They knew what time it was and they knew what they were involved in. So everybody had like some type of, I guess you could, I don't know what you would call it, but it was like an understanding that that's what it was. And it was, you got caught up.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because this has to do with police and gangs. I'm just going to throw some movies out there, and you tell me how real this was, like the movie Colors.
Some of the stuff is pretty accurate. I mean, some of it is more like Hollywood,
Yes.
Colors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What about, Alex, are you familiar with that one movie? Has that one Latino guy, and it has that one guy that came out on Brokeback Mountain. He was a cop.
Oh, which one is this?
God,
Oh, you mean In the Watch? Was it In the Watch?
I think so. It was supposedly filmed here in L.A.
Oh yeah, that's the one that was filmed in L.A. with at the end, the one cop gets shot and killed. I mean, it doesn't really happen like that because if you're dealing with narco stuff and you're a patrol cop, you're not gonna do that. They're not gonna allow you to do it as a patrol cop. They're gonna give it to narcotics.
Okay.
If you're a gang cop, you're gonna deal with the gang stuff. So you're gonna be out there doing that stuff. If you're a patrol cop, you're not gonna be out there fishing and looking and booking for narcotics because you're gonna be handling radio calls. A patrol cop is gonna handle radio calls. Now, if he gets a lead and he's like, "Oh, I got this dude. He's gonna give me some information on something," you might follow up on it and get a good arrest. But for the most part, you're more like dealing with radio calls.
Okay. You know the thing that I didn't like there. Okay, because I still live in my neighborhood,
Right.
East and West Side Wilmas.
Yeah.
Two big active gangs, 80s and 90s. And I've never known that there was a leader of a gang.
Right.
In that movie, I think it was called In the Watch or whatnot.
Yeah.
There was a leader of a gang. Did you guys ever come across like, okay, this is MS-13 and this is the leader?
We have they had the shot callers.
Okay,
the
the
ones
shot
that are
callers.
representing the other cliques. They did have those. When I worked at Crash, they did have shot callers for the different neighborhoods. But then if the guy's in prison because he's from the Emmett, but he's got his workers, he does have his worker, and he's got his underboss running the operations on the street, and then he's got his little torpedoes. He's got his soldiers down there too, running things. But MS-13, they have the same system. They have the hierarchies. You know, they have like military style system too, and you'll have a shot caller who's representing MS, and he's collecting the debt money, rent money for the dope. And they're running that stuff. It's an operation being run. Because we had one of our informants was a right-hand man of one of the Emmett guys, and he was moving and running things and protecting the dope dealers. They're paying him renta because they were paisas. They were not 18-streeters, but they were paying him renta.
Wow.
And he was saying, and he was protecting them. But he was also an informant for us.
Wow.
So a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. And when you're a cop, and especially gang cop, you get to see a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't get to see, and you get to talk to some people that not everybody gets to understand that, damn, se venden.
Yes. Se venden. Do you ever feel like, man, I'm getting too deep into this at one point when you were with the Rampart?
Not really, because I knew how to do my own thing and step out of stuff and not listen to people, not follow anybody. I didn't have that frame of mind because I just thought I was doing fine helping people because of the way I was dealing with stuff. But then things turned. In 98, I got into a shootout. I shot a guy, and he pulled out a gun on me and I ended up shooting him. He ended up dying. Well, then during that same time, I worked a unit, it was a field enforcement section. I got recruited from Rampart Crash to a unit called FES, which is Field Enforcement Section. It's like the movie Training Day.
Yes.
You go undercover like Denzel Washington. You're out there doing narcotics arrests. It's the same stuff you see in that movie, but a little different because it's reality, it's not Hollywood. And I got into a second shootout, and then Rafael Perez ended up getting arrested for his own junk, and then he started snitching on Crash. And that's when it all opened up. The can of worms opened up.
So, okay, that was one guy that I wanted to bring up. Somebody had mentioned, ask him about this. So let me just bring him up. Somebody said, ask him about Rafael Perez and David Mack.
Yeah, those two guys, they both worked Rampart. And Rafael Perez was working Crash when I was working Crash in the 90s. And he ended up getting busted for some cocaine that he stole from the evidence locker. He started selling on the street. Somebody in his case got in trouble, and then he ended up going to trial, got hung jury. From the hung jury, we thought he was going to go to trial again, but he ended up snitching on all of us and saying that we were all doing corrupt gang enforcement work, which was, for us back then, we thought it was the way we had to operate. So we didn't think we had a broken system. We just thought that's how we deal with the gang problem.
Okay.
And ignorance, but at the same time, it's a bigger gang.
Yeah. So he gets arrested, and then I guess by your own admission, he just ended up saying this guy.
The whole unit, try to expose the whole unit on stuff. He was able to prove it on certain people, but he couldn't prove it on everybody because it was just basically he didn't have proof. A lot of guys were able to get their job back.
What was it that you were arrested for?
I pretty much took a big turn. I got mad at the whole police department, and back then I was very vindictive, and if I got upset at somebody or someone, I got revenge. I got vindictive. I'm gonna hurt somebody. I'm gonna hurt them. I want to get back at them. I'm not gonna stop till I get them. So I got mad at the department, and I ended up calling some people that I knew that were gonna send me out to collect the debt for them, dope debts, big debts. And then from that point on, I got my first opportunity for me to hit a house. I recruited a few cops with me, and we hit a house, and I took about $1 million cash, 15 keys of coke, and I kept it, and I started selling the dope, and I got addicted to the adrenaline. I got addicted to the money, the everything that comes with it. It was addicting.
So it was a rush.
It was a rush. It was fun. I was looking at it like F the department, F everybody. I was on a good one back then. I was not on a dope good one. I was just the way I function was I get angry and I want to get people. I want to get even. And I was hitting houses left and right because I was getting connections from different people calling me from Mexico, from everywhere. Hey, güero, I got a jale, a tonelada de mota que llegó. Betúmbasela a mi compadre. And I'm gonna put on my uniform, get my cop car, get my partners, hit the house, get the dope, and move it and sell it. Get my guy 300 pounds free, and then move the rest.
And how long were you guys doing this for?
For like 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
At any point did you ever think, Ruben, like, man, I need to stop?
I thought about it, and I thought I'm gonna just get rid of this holiday. I'm done. But then I had a lot of people working for me, so I started thinking, how am I gonna get rid of all these guys? Yeah. I'm gonna have to wipe them all out because I'm gonna have to take them all out because I'm thinking in my head they're gonna snitch on me. And some of them were my cousins, some of them were friends, some of them were from different people from Mexico working for me. And I thought in my head, I gotta get rid of all of them before I move on. But then, because God is good, and I was out of control, and he ended up rescuing me. In 2001, I got arrested, which is why I ended up having to be separate from everybody because I got arrested.
Is it okay to ask you, Ruben, within those 2 years that you were doing these things, how much money would you say? Can you disclose that? How much money would you say you made in those 2 years?
I made millions. I made a lot, but I lost everything. I made millions. A million a night sometimes, and a hit. And not every house I hit was gonna happen because sometimes I'll go to a house and it's been cleaned out. So really? I ended up having to, wait for my informant. Hey, what's up? Give me another highlight, and boom, hit the house. So there was time where I got hit a house. It was come up with about a ton of weed or the coca, 50 keys or 100, and you're moving that and you're making $1 million in one night.
Did anybody in that department, you know how they say, don't get high off your own supply?
Right.
Did they start?
Not the guys that work for me, not the cops that work for me.
Okay.
They would have got wiped out because there was rules. You're gonna get wiped out if you mess up.
Before you got arrested, did anybody have a clue what was going on, or was there one person that said, "Okay, I'm gonna throw these guys under the bus"? How did it come about you getting arrested?
Nobody had a clue, except what happened. My cousin started dealing with other people out of our circle, and they were gonna go buy some cocaine from some Colombians in Tijuana and in San Diego. That was their story. Well, they were gonna go buy 10 keys off these guys, and because they knew I had just moved like 50 keys of coke, they wanted to borrow some money from me. So I lent them $100,000, and then they wanted me to go meet their connection to see if I could collect the debt for him. Me, with my big pride, I ended up going just to meet the guy, and then just because I said, I'll collect the debt from him, I don't care. And I ended up going out of pride, and they did a sting operation against my cousin and his friends that same day where I was at. It was a sting operation against them. I got arrested with their sting. Oh. So when I got arrested there, it was 5 of us got arrested. 4 of them told on me. Wow. And that's how I was exposed, and my case got exposed.
Wow.
So that's why I got busted.
Now you get busted, and I know this is kind of I don't know how to ask this question, but I'm going to try to ask it as respectfully as I can.
Sweat it.
You got arrested. You were a sworn-in officer to protect and to serve. Was there an embarrassment, a humiliation, knowing that you're standing in front of your, if you will, maybe your department or your colleagues in court, and you're handcuffed and they know what you did?
No, because at that time I was not caring. I was angry, and I didn't give at that time I didn't give you could say I didn't give a F, but I'm not gonna say it like that anymore. But I didn't, because I was my mind was convinced that I was gonna go out in a shootout, and I was more mad that I didn't get into a shootout. And I was still angry and I was mad at the whole situation because I was like not looking at what I did wrong. I was looking at, there ain't no victims here. I ain't doing nothing wrong. You guys do it too. The department's corrupt anyways. Everybody's corrupt. So in my head, I was like, F everybody. Still don't care. And I was still thinking about getting revenge and getting out and taking everybody out. I was still fixing that.
When they arrested you with those other individuals and they looked you up, did any of them ever tell you, man, you're a cop?
The
guys that arrested you.
No, they already, they knew because they got my badge and everything. I tried to play the part. At first, I tried to play the part and go, hey, you guys are busting. I'm undercover right now. You're going to blow my cover. Oh. I said that for a few minutes, but then because I know they were all snitching on me, they were going to already expose me.
Wow. Okay. So now you go to court. And again, how long did your trial last before you actually were found guilty?
There was no trial. What happened was they got me for the 10 keys, and then they wanted me to tell on my other stuff that I was doing, and I wouldn't come clean with nobody. I was telling my attorney, I don't know nothing. I don't know what they're talking about. I was one of those guys that I'm going to lie and deny, take it all away. And just, I was going to go to trial, though. Little did I know that I had like 20. By this time, there was already a lot of people telling on me. Oh, okay. But I was still fixed on fighting it. In my head, I thought I could fight this and beat it because I'm going to discredit all these guys. I said, I'm discredit all these snitches. All my co-defendants were my friends, cousins, whatever they were back then. I said, I'll get all of them. Yeah. But something did happen. I had an encounter with God during the time, and some guy introduced me to the Bible, some guy that was an ex-house angel. Because I was talking crazy. I was in the single cell, and he started talking.
How long were you in there? Since
like 3 months.
3 months, and then he starts witnessing to you.
Yeah, he started witnessing to me because I told him I was going to go out and whack everybody. When I got out, I was going to go on a suicide mission. Okay. So he started introducing me to the Bible and God's salvation, and that's where I never heard that. I never heard about God's forgiveness. I never heard about forgiveness. I was not a forgiving person. I was a revengeful person. So in my head, I'm like, I ain't forgiving. I'm going to kill everybody. I don't care until they kill me. And during that time, I was pretty much convinced that was going to happen. And when he started reading the Bible to me, the Word of God started making like a connection. I started the experience of the power of God's Word. I started hearing the words, but they were penetrating somewhere where I never been hit with. And I'm like, I never heard that before. And the more he started sharing stuff with me, I ended up telling him, well, you know, if it's true and God is real and the Bible is real, I'm gonna surrender my life to God, to Jesus.
So he walked you through this.
He walked me through a short prayer, and I really felt this peace that I never felt before. Because I felt the inner peace, and I felt the peace of forgiveness too, the power of being forgiven, and the power. I ended up learning about how to forgive people too, because I was very resentful and bitter and revengeful. I wouldn't forgive nobody. I was angry all the time, and I wouldn't show it, but I knew what was inside my heart.
Right.
I was cool and slick and quiet and real little mentiroso. Like I could fool you, make you think I got a smile on my face, but I'm already thinking evil against you, like bad, because I could fool you with my looks. Yeah. And that moment, things changed for me.
You know, let me share something with you, Ruben. I was, I want to say 22 or 23 years old when I first started reading the scriptures. And, you know, I always tell people this, that I would never consider myself a Christian because when I think Christian, I'm sorry to say, many people look at these tele-evangelists, which I don't believe. Yeah. So if people ask me, well, do you believe, Tony? I do believe that the scriptures are real. I do. Okay. So I'm a believer in the scriptures. But now, I will say this because something you said touched me right now. When you said you didn't forgive people and you came up with anger issues and, you know, you said, I'm going to whack everybody. Yeah. I can't never say I felt like that, but I just had anger. At times I would say I was miserable, that when I started reading the scriptures and then I came across a verse that said, love your enemies and pray for those that spitefully use you. Right. I remember I closed it and I gave it back to the man that gave it to me. Yeah. And when he said, he goes, did you read it? And I said, yeah. And I had read all 39 books of the old, 27 books of the new. Yeah. And he said, what stood out to you? So I told him, I can't forgive like people. And he said, it's because God has to give you that love for them. God has to give you that forgiveness for them. And I'll tell you what, I remember he gave it back to me and he tells me, go back home and continue reading because you're never done reading this book. No. He said, you're never done.
You're never done.
So I went home, and I'll be honest with you, as I continue to read, I closed it because I was feeling convicted.
Right.
And I can say that I began to cry because I didn't want to let go of the anger. I almost felt like I was content and I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense, in my anger and in my misery.
Right.
Because I didn't know anything else.
Yeah, exactly. We don't.
So when I began to cry out and pray, I felt that overwhelming peace.
Yeah.
So now, you kind of answered it already. So what was the difference for you? I know it was night and day. You surrendered your life to the Lord, you know, in a prison cell, compared to slanging dope, making money, being a part of a cop gang. What was the difference now? Because here you had money. Here you pretty much had it all.
Yeah.
And here you're just in a cell, but you have peace.
And the piece that money can't buy. And I was in there in prison, which is considered, a lot of people call it hell, being in prison, you know, a lot of times. But I had the peace I've never had. And money wasn't going to give it to a woman, nothing was going to give it to me. And that was a powerful piece that I had it. So I had this big smile on my face. So now wherever I was at, and then they moved me from the shoot to general population, and I'm telling God, well, look, I'm still in prison. I still got to take care of business. If I have to fight somebody, if I hurt somebody, I might have to do that, but I still don't know you enough to trust you enough to take care of business for me. So I'm going to need help right here, because this is where I struggle, because I've always been taking care of myself since I was a kid. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. If I'm in here and nobody likes me because I'm an ex-cop, I'm going to have some problems. So I'm trying not to get into it with nobody.
How is it for an ex-cop, man, to be doing prison, especially if they look at you and say, that's a crooked cop? How is it being in jail, being a cop? I mean, are you a target?
Yeah, you could be a target, but it all depends how you deal with situations yourself too. Because I think for every cop in there that I've seen, I met a lot of officers in there with different issues. It's up to you how you're going to handle yourself in there. What are you going to do? Are you going to run paisa? Are you going to run politics? Are you going to run with the whites if you're white? Or are you going to lock it up and go to the shoe and stick and PC up? It's all up to you. But a lot of them are afraid in there. And for me, I grew up in the streets. I wasn't a cop to be a bully or be tough. I was brought up tough as a little kid. I was violent all my life, so it wasn't a problem for me to be involved in violence. And I pretty much craved it, you know. So in my mind, I wasn't, and I was already at the point in my life I didn't fear death. So to me, it's like I'm not gonna sweat that stuff. But at the same time, I'm a Christian. I want to do good. Now I'm in here. That was the hardest thing, because I'm in there, and I didn't want to run no politics. So what I did is I would go straight up with the paisas, because I always tell the paisas the truth. I'm in here for being a dirty cop. This is why I'm here. Soy de Jalisco, but I'm already a Christian. You know, I want to do. I'm working on dealing with my issues myself. But I'm being honest with you, because that way you know where I'm coming from. Because a lot of guys lie a lot in prison. Right. So being honest, God gave me the respect that the guys respected me.
At any time, I mean, do cops that get caught up, do a lot of them PC up?
Yeah, some of them PC up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, okay, so now you're in there.
I'm sure in the state, they probably won't walk the yard in the States, because the State's different. This was feds. The feds has a lot of yards, but you still have to, there's a lot of politics in feds too, a lot of politics. And it's because a lot of big conspiracy cases, but the paisas are big numbers in the feds too. And being a Christian and slash being a paisa, the numbers, they did have my back, but I also give God the credit, because I had favor with the Sureños too. Yeah, I had favor with everybody, because I mean, I was just honest and real with everybody. I wasn't hiding behind the Bible. I didn't get the Bible because I was scared. I didn't get the Bible because I didn't believe. I didn't think I was gonna. I didn't know that was gonna happen to me. I had no idea God's too big and powerful for you not to, either you surrender to Him or you don't. But when He gets a hold of you, He gets a hold of you, no matter where it's at. Yeah, no matter where you're at, you either better listen or you're gonna deal with Him.
Yeah, you know, no. Okay, so you went to the feds, and so walk us through. Okay, so 3 months you surrender your life. Then how long after that did you get sentenced?
Oh, the first first case took 2 years.
Okay, so that was 15 you're doing
years. Time. Man. Yeah, I'm doing time still. 2 more years in there fighting. I'm not fighting the case anymore because I already pled guilty. I ended up pleading guilty on my first the 10 kilos of cocaine. Yeah. So now they want to give me my second indictment, but because I did fight it for 2 years, actually. I just didn't want to plead guilty yet. When I finally pled guilty after 2 years, they sentenced me on my first indictment, which was the 10 keys. Because I was being hard-headed still. I was reading the Bible and praying, but I was still being stubborn, saying, I ain't got to plead guilty to nothing. There's no victims here. And then when I started reading the Bible, there was a scripture that said that basically I was guilty towards God because I did rebel against God. So I told my attorney, you know what? I'm going to plead guilty because I rebelled against God. I'm going to plead guilty because of God. I'm going to plead guilty. I'm not going to go trial no more. I'm not going to play games anymore because I was playing games with the feds. I was pissing them off. And they were offering me 100 years. They were promising me 100 years. And I was like, well, do what you got to do. And then when I pled guilty, they told me, well, we still have your second indictment. So my second indictment was what I was doing, not the 10 keys. So they moved me from San Diego to San Bernardino County Jail, and I stood in the single cell SHU for 5 years, waiting for my second indictment to get sentenced. So
5 years. I
stayed 7 years, system locked in there. Well, 5 years in SHU, and in 2008 I got arrested in 2001. 2008 I get sentenced to my second indictment. Excuse me. That's when they gave me 18 years total.
Okay.
But they want to give me 100, and they want to give me 28. And by the grace of God, they didn't do it. The co-defendant, one of my co-defendants didn't tell me he went to trial. He got 84 years. So they were going to give me that time if I would have went to trial.
Wow. They
were going to give me that time, and I was going to get out. So God's grace, and I got the 18 years. In 2008, that was my second indictment.
So they told you a total of 18 years.
Total of 18 years, yeah.
Were you shocked because you didn't get those 80 years that,
I wasn't shocked. I mean, you know what? I was thankful and grateful that they didn't give me that time. They didn't promise me nothing. When I pled guilty, I pled guilty. And basically, I took responsibility for my own actions.
Yeah.
I didn't tell nobody. I told on myself. But I had 20 people telling on me, so I told my attorney, well, I'm not going to tell nobody. I will come clean on me because everybody already snitched on me. Yeah. Pretty much. I said, you guys already know everything, but I'll take responsibility for my actions. And I did, but they still give me 18 years.
Wow. Now I need to say this because simply I've known a lot of people that were on the streets, big-time dope dealers, big-time active gang members, okay? They had a lot of respect on the streets. But when they went to jail, people say all of a sudden they become born again.
Right.
Okay. Now, I had a pastor here who's now been pastored, I think, either 12, 13 years, David Rocha. He was an ex-rapper from up north. He did Fed time, okay? He gave his life to the Lord in solitary.
Yeah.
And he's been here several times, shared his testimony or whatnot. But I asked him the same thing that I'm going to ask you. That there's people that always say, oh, these guys just went and ran and hid behind the cross because they had to go to jail. How do you answer that if somebody were to say, you just hid behind the cross when you went to jail because you didn't want to face it?
The reality is they don't know any better. They're just saying that because they're ignorant and because they don't really know the power of God. They don't even know that God is bigger than us and God is either going to submit to him. And no matter where you're at, it's humiliating to you. You're either going to bow down to him or you're not. It doesn't matter where he gets a hold of you. The fact that people do and say that is just their own fears. They're just talking about their own fears. A lot of guys in there get knocked. They get knocked on their heart too by God, but they're afraid of men. They're afraid of what men are going to say about them. Yeah. Because that makes them think that, oh, I'm scared. I'm not a man anymore because I'm serving God. You know what? It's harder to serve God anywhere, in prison or out there, because that means you got to stop being a knucklehead. That means you got to stop fighting. That means you got to stop trying to cuss. That means you can't stab anybody. You can't use dope. That means you're challenged to so many different ways. That means you got to trust God's power to get you through all that stuff. When it's easy to be a crook, it's easy to sell dope, it's easy to sell smoke dope in there, it's easy to be a knucklehead in there. It's easy to have fun and party in there and to do your time that way. Anybody could do their time in anywhere by drinking hooch, smoking dope or whatever, shooting up. They're still going to process. You're still going to do your time. However, you're going to do your time gambling, doing your thing. It's harder to serve God anywhere, man, especially in prison. Yeah, because you still get tempted. You're in there, man. It's sometimes I got tempted to the point where I wanted to mess somebody up so bad, and I wouldn't because of God. And I would be like, man, help me out because I'm gonna mess this dude up right here. Yeah. So I battle with that because I come from a violent background. Maybe because I don't look like a violent guy, but in me, I like violence. I love it. I loved it. I love messing people up before because I was just the evilness inside me. I had to pray a lot so God could get that out of me.
Yes.
And I had to go through some deliverances. I had to go through some heavy duty prayers. I had to call a Christian psychologist to come and work with me in there while I was in there doing time, so he could help me, because I was going through a lot of anger issues, and I didn't even know I had PTSD before, and God healed me from PTSD. I had some heavy duty PTSD from my shootouts. Once you start shooting people, you get shot. You could get addicted to that stuff too.
Wow. And
violence becomes normal to you. Hurting somebody, shooting somebody doesn't faze you. And then being in the specialized units I worked in, you're dealing with nothing but the crazy stuff in the streets, the heavy duty crazy gangsters out there that are doing bad stuff. So you're at war.
Yeah.
So once you're in there, honestly, and it's hard. Being a man of faith is hard. I don't care what they say. The guys that say those things, they don't know any better, and they're just scared. That's reality.
Yeah, because they would say, "Oh, he's born again until he's out again."
And well, people do that though. That's that unfortunate. People will do that, and people do hide behind the Bible in prison. The child molesters, some do hide. Some gangsters do hide behind the Bible because they are scared, and that's their own. That's own individual person. Yeah. That's their own issue. That's between them and God. And if they are playing against God, they're going to get checked. God's going to check them. And if you're real, you're real. And people are going to know you're real. You're going to get respected. Yeah. People knew I wasn't faking it. People knew I wasn't hiding behind the Bible. I wasn't expected to do that. I better do whatever I thought I was going to do to make it in prison. But when I got an encounter with God, I wasn't going to go backwards. I told God, I'm going to serve you. I'm going to bow down to you, nobody else. I don't care where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then I was able to preach to people in there, and people respected that I did preach to people. I did Bible classes in there. I became a counselor in there too. I worked for the chaplain in there, so I worked with a lot of people with different backgrounds. I got to counsel people in there. I got to counsel people with trauma, with addictions. So you know what? God used me. God used me in every yard. I hit a lot of yards. I hit like 8 yards all those 16 years. Mendota, Hurlong, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Victorville, San Diego. Wow. San Bernardino. I hit yards, and I ran into a lot of people. So I told God, use me. Yeah, I'm an ex-cop. And I tell the guys, yeah, I'm an ex-cop. I'm a criminal like you. So what's the problem? I'm here to preach to you guys. I hit the yards like that. I was straight up, and because I was bold as a crazy guy out there. So why am I going to be not fired up in here too?
With the truth.
With the truth. And I'll tell them, look, when I was a dirty cop, I'll be booking dudes left and right, thinking I was going to clean the streets up to make the city safer. But I realized I was wrong. Now I'm here. I'm seeing that all you guys are becoming better criminals or more connected. So might as well try to help you here before you get out, so you don't have to be that guy.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
From what you see today on the streets, is there a comparison to the 80s and 90s? Do you think it was wilder back then than it is now?
In different areas, it was wild in different levels, because it was the structure that existed back then for the gangs, for the violence, for the dope industry. It was different. It was also a lot of competition, a lot of wars because of the territory, disrespect, or you name it. It seems that it's not that intense anymore.
Right.
But there's a lot of other stuff going on that's a little crazy, like the new social media stuff that's going on out there, the technology, the crybabies. Man, there's a lot of crazy dudes out there that just chillones. You know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody wants to cry about something.
Today, okay, back in the day, you go walk down the neighborhood, maybe you go to a party, a little get together, whatnot. Everybody knew who was who. That guy's a real one right there.
Yeah.
That guy right there got 10 bodies on him.
Yeah.
That guy right there is pushing some heavy yayo. Okay.
Yeah.
They never had to announce it.
Nope.
Okay. Today, people go live.
Yeah, they go live.
And then they have a stack and like pretend talking. I got 10 G's. I got 10 G's. I got this chain. And who does that?
That's just the identity. They got identity crisis. They have all kinds of they got to be accepted issues. You know.
Yeah. Have you seen a cop gang / hood movie that you could say that's kind of real? Does any of them? We'll get into Training Day, but let's put that one to the side. Anything that you can say, like we said in The Watch, we mentioned Colors, and there's a couple of other ones, like let's just say Boys in the Hood, or let's just say Menace to Society, or anything like that.
I mean, truthfully, it's the movie, because Hollywood is whack.
Right.
Hollywood, they echan crema al taco, but reality, there's things that you cannot see in the movies that really happen in real life, because sometimes it could be more extreme in real life than the movies.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's stuff that I know about that's too extreme. compared to a movie.
Yeah. Now let's get to training day, because somebody mentioned to me that you're good. Okay. First, let me get to mine. Um, Somebody told me this guy Ruben was a part of that team that they based the movie Training Day on. Is that true? How true is that?
I worked a unit called Field Enforcement Section. It's called FES.
Okay.
And the unit is pretty much everything you saw in that movie. A lot of it is based on the unit FES.
Okay.
Now they put different characters in there, but the stuff that happened in the unit in the movie, a lot of it was going on in the unit.
Okay.
So where they got the stuff from, I don't know who they got it from. Could have been Perez or somebody. They had to have got it from somebody. But I worked a unit like that, and you are doing a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the movie is Hollywood, so it's gonna add a lot of stuff to it. Like Denzel being owing money to the Russian, getting killed, all that stuff not real. That didn't happen in the units. But a lot of the stuff that how you deal with the gangsters out there, how you would kind of hit a house and rob them sometimes, stuff like that happen. Fake warrants, stuff like that happens. You know, you got to outsmart the guy. You got to get an informant, help him get you next house, bigger hit, bigger house. Stuff like that does happen.
Because in the movie, there was a part where Denzel takes his rookie cop. They go into the hood, and he has a fake warrant. He checks the room, takes like, I think 20 or maybe 10 grand or whatever. They leave. Does stuff like that happen?
Yeah, happens. Happen a lot.
Okay.
I did that a lot. That's how I got busted, hitting big houses, but getting big money like that, big dope.
If I can ask you, what was the biggest score you ever got from a house, as far as cash is concerned?
Like about $1 million cash, and then the 15 kilos at the same time. That was a pretty big score. A lot of it was dope. I was getting a lot of dope, so I was starting having my guys move my drugs.
Okay.
So I could get 100 keys of coke or a ton of weed, and then I'll have people sell it for me.
Now, was there ever, or at least did you guys ever know, because of all the, if I could say, the dirt you guys were doing, was there ever any hits on you guys?
No, and that was the thing that I always like to look at is when my guy came and gave me the information on the house. I like to do my little research, my little recon before I can hit a house to make sure I'm not going to get backlash. It's not going to come bite me in the ass, or I'm going to have to get into a shootout.
Right.
Because I used to say it's got to be worth the risk too, but it doesn't have to be bloody and messy. It has to be clean where you can just walk out like you got away. They got away with it. They're happy. They're not getting arrested. So you had to also be like smart about these things.
Right.
So I was trying to operate. I wasn't going to be stupid and just be out there. I was making money, so I'm not going to be like a dummy and just for something that is not worth it. So I try to pick and choose my hits, the houses I was going to hit. Because they were coming at me with different, people were coming from different places trying to give me a job. And like, no, I'm not going to do that. Give it to a gangster to do it. That's a gangster job right there. Que se meta él. You know, that's a gangster job.
Yeah.
Don't give me that chunk stuff. Because I started like, well, I'm going to hire a professional. Give me the professional job. It's worth a lot of money. I'm not going to risk it for a couple $100,000, you know. I mean, let me make sure it's worth the risk. Because my guys, too. You got guys, I got to pay my guys.
Wow.
So I picked and choose some of the highlights that I wanted to do.
Now, was there ever a time where some of these guys might have went on shopping sprees where you said, hey, sabes que cálmate?
Yeah, and they did do that. That pissed me off because they wouldn't listen sometimes, especially my primos. I told them, hey, man, don't go flashy nothing. Don't go buy nothing. I pay you 50 grand cash just to save the money. And they ended up buying a Jeep, a brand new Escalade. I'm like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah.
Todo fregones. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. Wow. So now, walk us through right before you get released. Did you feel like, okay, I gave my life to the Lord. I was a dirty cop. I got arrested. I did my time. This is going to be a real test. Did you see it coming out as being a real test? Did you ever feel maybe there's that temptation to go back to the streets, or did you know, like, no, I'm walking that straight and narrow path. This is now my life.
I was done completely from that background because I already know how to be viciously bad, and if I'm an extremist. So if I'm going to do something bad, I'm going to go all out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go halfway. But I was already serving God, and I was going to do the same thing for God and serve God. And I'm not a playing with God either because he's real. And I told myself, I asked God, you saved me, you got me out of my craziness, and now you healed me from what I had. And I know I want to be used by you. I want to be able to help other people. Because I was a cop to help people, and I always had that in my nature to help people. And then as a Christian man, I told God, well, I want to be used by you so I could help other people. So I started learning about counseling people, to counsel people with trauma, with addictions. So when I got home, I told my, lead me the way where I'm going to be used, because I know that eventually that door's going to open. So I got home and I started like kind of reaching out to different churches.
Okay.
To see where I could be
used,
be used. Yeah. I got invited to certain churches. I tried to produce programs that had to do with mental health, because a lot of the churches are not dealing with the rooted issues. They'll get you to read the Bible and pray and stuff, but they're not addressing certain issues. So people are walking around broken up still, real broken, and because they're not, a lot of them aren't, the pastors, a lot of them aren't trained in that area. They're good at sermons and good at teaching, uplifting people, but a lot of them are not trained, because everybody in the body of Christ has a different gift.
Yes.
My gift is in that area of ministry and counseling broken people, traumas, mental health, addictions. That's one of my gifts, a deliverance, because I was in prison watching God operate through me in those areas.
Yeah.
And if I could do it in there, and I was able to help people first he had to work with me and heal me. That way, and then I know, hey, man, he's real. He could do this. He did it for me, so he could do it for you.
Right. So
I started working with guys in there. And in there, you got the cream of the crop of the most messed up, broken people. So then I came home and I started asking God, use me. I've been off probation a year already.
How long were you on probation?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
How long now have you been out?
6 years.
6 years.
6
total.
years. So I've been going through my growth. Every day you're still growing, you're still learning. Doors are opening, because I want to be able to put it out that, hey, people can heal, people can recover from this. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't gotta admit something that's not real. You can't say I'm still an alcoholic, I'm still a drug. God can heal all that stuff. He can raise the dead. So
The people that you got arrested with, are they still doing time, or are they?
No, they're all out. Everybody got out before me, because a lot of them got a little bit of time for telling on me. But the one that went to trial is the only one that's still locked up.
Wow. I mean, that's because he fought it.
Because he fought it, and pretty much it was a losing battle, because you had 20 people that were going to tell on you, or told on you, pretty much.
Yeah.
And when you're guilty, you're guilty.
Did you run into those? Have you ran into those guys at all? Those guys that you got arrested with, the ones that were out before you?
I haven't ran into any. Couple of them were my cousins.
Oh, okay.
I ran into two of my cousins. I talked to them, but I'd say I don't really associate with them anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Because some of them just snitch on me.
Right,
my primos.
I guess I'm curious, when they saw you, did they tell you, hey, primo, I'm sorry?
They tried to make an excuse. I told them, you don't got to tell me nothing. I already know what happened. I saw the paperwork. I saw everything.
Yeah.
A stack of papers that turned into the feds. So it is what it is. I forgave them. The good part is I have peace. I forgive people, and I move on. I'm not going to stay stuck in my anger and all that other stuff before. I'm not going to go backwards. He brought me this far. I'm not going backwards anymore. So,
Ruben Palomares, what is Ruben doing today? What is your life like today? If you can kind of like share with us, how was God using you today?
So right now, I do speaking engagement. I go speak in events where I could talk to cops about mental health and misconduct and stuff that they could work on for themselves. I also talk to former gang members, young kids, different backgrounds. I get to talk to them about things that I know they're whatever they're dealing with, but also the mental health stuff. I also do martial arts. I teach boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA. And I mesh it with mental health programs like counseling and stuff, working with people.
Yeah.
I use it as a tool, but my goal is to build programs where I can actually incorporate everything.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not asking you for me. I'm asking you for the public. Is God real?
He's real, very real. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking. I wouldn't be out. I'd probably still be locked up or dead.
Yeah. Wow.
It's
because of the God's grace and mercy.
Yeah.
That we are still here.
It is 100% grace and mercy. Yeah.
Yeah. We got something that we didn't deserve.
Yep.
And then what we did deserve, we didn't get.
We didn't get what we deserved. I should have been locked up for good or dead.
Yeah. And that should humble all of us, because I've said this with Pastor David Rocha was here. I said, I don't fear a gang member. I don't fear the police. I don't fear a mafia leader. Who I fear is God.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've told people the same thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I had a couple of other things before we take calls. But what do you think it was that really convinced you that the Bible was real? Was it that peace that you felt?
The too many signs from God. He would answer my prayers in so many different ways. I know everybody has different experiences, but that was one, the peace. But the power of forgiveness, of Him forgiving me after what I've done, and then receiving that forgiveness and then giving it back to others. But then the work they started doing within me, that I know no meds, no dope, no psychologist, no nothing would have fixed in me, because there was no way. This was supernatural work within me, because the way I used to be to who I am now, it wasn't through just my willpower or me just disciplining myself or picking up new habits. That none of that was going to work, because I know myself. I know who I was.
Yeah.
And the fact that I prayed and I started talking to Him about my deep issues, God started working and peeling layer after layer, one at a time. It didn't come overnight. Layer after layer of stuff that I need to address, because I had a lot of issues, unresolved issues, childhood issues, trauma issues. You name it, they were just piled up. And peeling one layer at a time, He started working with me and started bringing a wholeness to me. And that doesn't happen any other way, because there's no way another man could do that for you.
And I'm glad you said that it didn't happen overnight, because some people think that once they surrender their life, that it may happen overnight. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't happen overnight. So, okay, we've had your Instagram up on the screen where people can follow you, reach out to you. I know you said you teach MMA, boxing, etc. Yeah. Can we put his Instagram up there, please? So people can follow you. It'll be on the description also. Are you open to train people if they want, like, certain classes? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, or just physical fitness for them to get in shape. And then even the mental health aspect of it. I incorporate all that too. Something you don't have to come for the mental health. You can just come for the physical part of it to get the de-stress, to therapy. Punching the pads and the mitts, the bag is therapeutical. Working out is therapeutical too. You de-stress. A little bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay. You guys, his Ruben Palomares Instagram is up on the screen. Make sure you guys follow him. If you guys want to ask him anything, if you guys want to, if you will, maybe even go to the gym that where you train. Shoot, I'm even thinking of going out there and working on my left hook and my right cross, But definitely give him a follow. And if his message has touched you, even DM him and share with them that you were blessed by his testimony. Ruben, let me ask you this, because I have a friend that's in not only the music but also in the Hollywood industry when it comes to films, when it comes to music, and he hit me up today. Good friend of mine. His name is Paul. You probably know him as Paul. He actually told me, he wanted me to tell you that he was actually in your cousin's quinceañera with you. Today we call him Pablito, but his name is Paul. And he said, tell him, because I'm in the industry, I want to get in contact with him because I want to know if he's interested in selling his story or telling his story, whether it be book form, whether it be a movie, or whatever. And this guy's got mad connections. So I don't know. Do you have any type of plans?
Those are my plans to eventually get a movie out, and the book is being written. But yeah, we could talk. Tell me, you could give me a ring.
Yeah, Pablito, much love. There it is. There.
And he was in my cousin quinceañera.
Yes, exactly.
Small world, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know if I should give this away, but I won't give too much away. But I'll just say he just came back from Guadalajara, and he attended Vicente Fernandez Jr.'s wedding.
All right.
And those are the type of plugs that he has, and he's got a surprise coming with that family.
Right.
So I don't want to disclose too much.
Yeah.
But today he was like, Tone, you got a good one today, because he said he knows you, and he said that guy is good with his hands. So he gave you props.
So what's up, Paul?
Yes, absolutely. Pablito, there it is. I'm going to shoot you his number after. But Alex, go ahead and put the number up. I'm going to connect. We're going to take some calls. Last time I connected and nobody called when Julian Torres was here, and I got some nasty DMs, and people say, Tony, you're lying. I was calling, and you never picked up. I'm not going to put on my headphones until I get a call. So if you want to call right now is the time. I am connected. So you got the number up? Okay, cool. Let's see who's going to be the first caller to call in and ask Ruben anything pertaining to the subjects that we were here discussing. So as I wait for you, once again, the number is up, and I'm going to show you guys. I have it right here, waiting for somebody to call, okay? Because some people say, oh, you know what, he never picks up, and okay, so let's keep it pushing. Let's see. Okay, caller with the 323 number. I guess you must have called and hanged up. Okay, let's pick this up now. All right. Answer. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, Tony. What's up,
my-
Ruben? This is Brad Pitbull calling from Tommy's Burger in Rampart.
What's good, my brother? You got a question for Ruben?
Yes, I got two questions or two comments. One is, did he ever, first question is, did he ever know that the man behind the curtain was actually Spencer Baca? And then the other question is, the other comment is, well, no, I just appreciate him sharing the truth and of what Los Angeles is really about. You know, the things that happen behind closed doors. And the other question is, does he believe that his politicians are on another level where there's L.A. government, or he may not want to comment too much, but like the city officials or even, you know, state and federal government, if they have their own thing where, you know, the CAA does, you know, where it pollutes, you know, the lower income areas with drugs and just the gang mentality.
I guess you know what he's trying to ask.
I mean, reality is we know that the Freeway Rick Ross, that stuff really happened back then. The CIA did bring the cocaine to the streets, and it's been known. It's record that did happen, and unfortunately, we deal with a lot of crazy stuff in the higher ups, and that's why being who I am now as a Christian, I pray for the government, because we need good people in the positions of authority, because we do have some bad guys in there and bad women. So it's important to know that we do have an opportunity to pray that God puts the right people there. We put the wrong people there sometimes too, for voting for the wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know sometimes people don't want to critique it too much, because I know, like, even when the mayor of New York recently critiqued Biden on his immigration policy, all of a sudden he has two, you know, charges against from women in the past, and you know, people lose,
all of a sudden,
canceled or stuff like that. Yeah. So, but Ruben, well, thank you for just sharing your story, and you know, for just revealing the way that things actually work in Los Angeles, and that it's not just a big ass Disneyland show.
Right.
But that's it. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, my bro. Have a blessed night.
Spencer Baca. All right, good night. Bye.
Okay, we're going to keep the phone lines rolling. We got about 18 more minutes. If you guys want to call in right now, you have a question, once again, for Ruben Palomares, anything you guys want to ask, you guys can ask them pertaining to, once again, the conversation that we were having. So we got one phone call down. We usually have them busy, so I just don't want to hear tomorrow, Tony. I try calling because I'm looking at the number right now and nobody's calling. So if not, we're just going to keep it pushing, because you guys really disappointed me when Julian Torres was here and you guys didn't call. So other than that, Alex, while we're waiting for the phone call, you had a question.
Yeah. If you, on Wikipedia, I was looking up the Rampart, and they said that they used to work for Death Row Records. Is that true?
Some of the guys did work for, like Rafael Perez and David Mack, and some other officers that were in Crash or just L.A.P.D. themselves. They did work for Suge Knight. They worked for him, and they had their own whatever agenda they had. You know.
Yeah.
There was guys doing that.
Okay. So once again, we want to see anybody that wants to call in right now and ask Ruben anything. Lately, our phone lines have been dead, and I wonder why. But the very next day, once again, you guys hit me up and tell me, hey, Tony, I tried calling. Here we go. We got another call. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey, how's it going?
It's the brother from Stockton, California.
What's good, my bro? You got a question for Ruben?
Yes, sir. Hey, Ruben. I'm enjoying the show, man.
Hey, how's it going?
I got a question, Ruben. Is it ever too late to learn boxing, sir?
Never too late. Always a time for boxing.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's interested? How would you prepare?
Well, first of all, just when you go to the gym, they're going to prepare you. That's where you're going to the gym. You're going to go with the professional. They're going to teach you the basics, and if you're not in shape, they're going to help you get in shape. But everybody's going to work with you in a different. If you're just a beginner, you're going to be taught like a beginner to get you there, so you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get pushed too hard. So I mean, just getting there. That's the first thing. Get your boxing shoes, get your gear, and be ready to start.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Ruben. I'll keep that in mind, man. God bless you, gentlemen.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's keep it pushing. Let's see who's going to call next. We got about 15 more minutes. If not, we're just going to continue to go on with this conversation. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to call in and ask Ruben any question you guys want. Once again, he shared that he was L.A.P.D., worked for L.A.P.D., then he did work for the crash unit and et cetera, et cetera. If you guys didn't hear his testimony, make sure you guys go back and share this with someone. Okay, but I'm giving you guys an opportunity to call in and to, once again, speak to him. If not, then we're just going to keep it going. Here we go here. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Jay, South Texas.
Jay from South Texas. How you doing, Jay?
Yes, sir. Doing well. How about you guys?
Pretty good. You got a question for Ruben?
Yes, sir. I got a question for both of you guys. Since the title does say Bible talk, I got a question concerning Bible, concerning God. Tony, I heard you earlier say that that what you fear, that you don't fear man, that you fear God. Now, let me ask you, why would you say that you fear God if in the Bible it says that God is love? My question is, would you say you fear God because of religion? That's what religion has instilled, or why would you say that you fear God?
Well, after reading the scriptures, I came across two different types of fears. Okay. Once again, the New Testament is written in the Greek, the Old Testament is written in Hebrew. In the Greek, there's two different types of fears that I come across. One of them is to honor and to reverence God, is to fear God, to respect God, to love God. The other one, Jesus actually taught. He said, do not fear the one that can take your life, but fear the one that can take your life and is able to cast you into hell. Him you fear. So I have both of those fears because I know that the very air, the very breath that I breathe is in the palm of God's hands, and he can take it whenever he wants. But it's only because of his grace and his mercy is that I'm still here, because I know I never did no prison time, but I know I've done enough things that I should have been taken out a long time ago. But God allowed me to live. So I have both fears for God, that I love him, I honor him, I reverence him, I respect him, I worship him, and that's who I serve. And I also have that other fear. It's kind of like, if I could give you a cheap analogy, I love and respect and honor my mother, but I also feared my mother. So that's the best answer that I can give you, Jay.
Okay. So would you say that you're okay with your kids or children hearing you, like being afraid of you, like is that?
No, I just think that there has to be certain boundaries that my children need to know that they can't cross, because there will be discipline. My kids love me and I love them, and I make that known to them. But there's been times where my youngest son has tried to cross that line, and I had to take him outside. Thank God there was never any punches or anything like that thrown, but I had to let him know that I love him. I'm here to protect him, but I'm not going to allow him to disrespect me. And he never crossed that line ever again.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear it from that. I was just wondering, and that was a question, because I've heard you say that before, that what you fear is God, right? And me myself personally, I don't see. Well, the connection that I make with that fear, like I said, is exactly what you touched on, is hell, and just from what I've been looking into, hell is actually a religious thing that has been instilled in us, meaning man, mankind. Um, but I attribute that to religion, the fear part,
Okay.
right? So, but that was the question. I'm just trying to find out my own personal answers as well. That's why I asked the question. I hope I didn't offend you guys or anything.
No, all good.
I can also elaborate too, because I was raised very my parents, my mom tried to instill their belief system into us, but it was also rooted in fear. They try to make you believe that God is condemning, He's going to smite you, and so it caused me to not like or care for God, because I thought, well, you mess up, you go to hell anyway. So let's me just mess up all the way through, and that was a terrible way to instill it, because it did make you either try to control you with that fear, or eventually you could just not care no more, because you can get to the extreme where you think, oh, well, God's going to smite me anyway, so why be good? Let Him just smite me. And that was the way I was brought up. So when I became almost like an atheist after a while, because of the job itself, but when I ended up getting to meet the real God, the God of the Bible, I realized that's not the fear that God wants you to have. It is reverence towards Him, respect, but He also gives you a choice. He's not going to force you to serve Him or commit to Him or nothing. He's not. He's also someone that's going to give you free will. And to me, I've been experiencing grace and mercy all my relationship with God, because He ain't been beating me up or smiting me every time I make mistakes. I'm going to continue trying to grow, but I don't have the power sometimes to change or grow myself, so I need Him to help me. And that's how the awesome part of God, that, hey, He knows your heart, He knows what you want, and if you want to change, He'll help you change, but at the same time, He's not going to be there to beat you up and condemn you when you're not. You can't change on your own. You really do need His help. And that's the powerful part about it. And there's no fear there, like the fear. Oh man, I can't tell God I messed up. He knows you're gonna mess up. He knows you messed up, but your heart is where He knows where your heart's at, and there's a difference.
Jay, you had another question. You had a question for Ruben.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys with this last question. This is a big one. Where is God? Like, where does God exist in this world? Where is God?
Okay. You want to answer that? You want me to answer it?
We know that He's omnipresent, so pretty much He's everywhere. I mean, that's one thing. But then when He gives you the Holy Spirit, He lives within your heart too.
Yes. We serve an omniscient God. God is omnipresent. He is everywhere at one time. Now, the Bible actually tells us that there is a certain location where He lives, and He lives in the north. As weird as that may sound.
Right.
You can actually even Google that and look that up. There's 3 levels of heaven. And in the Greek, once again, the first heaven could be when we say we lift our hands to the heavens, in other words, to the sky.
Yeah.
Then the second heaven would be like outer space. And then the third heaven, which Paul believes that he was with.
Taken to the third heaven.
Yes, third heaven, that's where God resides.
Yeah.
In the third heaven. So that's the best that I can give you without giving you a big old theological sermon.
Right.
I hear you. I hear you. My response to that is, I really think it's unfair, or I really don't think it's a good idea to use the Bible to prove the Bible, right? Because then you're already starting with a bias. You like automatically you're gonna go with a biased answer. So outside of the Bible, how could we prove that? And not necessarily prove it, because you either believe or you don't, right? Like there's no convincing somebody that doesn't believe otherwise, and vice versa, right? But that's just something that I've been looking into as well. That you can use the Bible to prove the Bible. That doesn't make any sense.
And Jay, you're absolutely right. I'm just going to give you one word that actually proves the Bible without using the Bible, and that's archaeology.
True.
Archaeology.
Yes.
Okay.
So please look into the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found in 1967. In 1967, in the caves of Qumran, which they have the only scroll that they haven't found is the Book of Esther, but they have all of it in the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, and they have the Book of Isaiah, the scroll of Isaiah in its entirety that speaks about the coming Messiah, and it dates back to the 1st century, the time of Christ. And here's a historian that you can actually even read. His name is Flavius Josephus. He lived also during the time of Christ, and he was not a Christian, but he wrote about Jesus.
Yeah, I'm aware with that literature, and but I will look more into it.
Yes.
But I guess the question then becomes like, it's not really like if the Bible is real. Like, yeah, we can say the Bible is real because somebody wrote it, and just like other books that have been written in the future, they're going to continue to be there. I guess the real question is there any truth to what's in the Bible, or really, like, the miracles that are described in the Bible? Like, that's the real question. Like, the validation of that, not necessarily the book itself, because the book can exist, but the contents of the book, it is a question. Like,
Well, if a person tries to read it to find loopholes, contradictions, you're probably better off reading that book in Chinese, because God will never ever reveal his secrets to you. There's a scripture in Matthew 7:7. It says, "Seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open, ask and you shall receive." So you have to do those three things. You have to ask and you will receive. If you want to receive revelation, if this book is real, ask God to open up the eyes of your understanding, and God will bless you. Because believe me, Jay, I'm going to say this, and in closing, when I first started reading the Bible, I wanted to read it to discredit it. I wanted to believe that it was not true. And the more and more I dug, the more and more I got in trouble.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I'm not calling to debate or nothing like that. These are actual genuine questions.
We appreciate them.
And last, I'll leave it with this, and then I'll let other callers jump on. But like, what's written in that Bible is really for a certain group of people, right? Us as Gentiles. I mean, does that belong to us? Like, or do we have our own religious practices and maybe faiths that are more connected to our ancestors, right? Like that's but I'm gonna ask Marvin that next time that he's on, because that's probably a question for him.
That all good. Just ask him that. I'm sure he'll give you, a good answer, bro. So, but I'm gonna let you go because we got about 3 minutes for us to take some more phone calls. So,
yes, sir. You guys have a good night.
You too, Jay.
Good night.
Okay. We're going to take one more phone call. Whoever wants to be the last caller so we can end on time. I truly appreciate everybody taking the time with us. Once again, that was an 8-minute phone call. I try to keep it less than 5 minutes, but if nobody's calling, I'm going to keep going. So we're going to take one more phone call, and then we'll call it a night. If not, I have one more question for Ruben, and here we go. Call it your name, and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Tony, and calling from Northern California.
How you doing, Tony?
California.
Tony.
I'm doing good, man. Hey, I just wanted to add, bro, that the Bible actually does talk a lot more about what happens when the soul leaves the body. And I tried to get a contact with you one time, but I think I got the wrong Instagram page. But it's called the Apocrypha. It's the New Revised Standard Version. And Ezra, the prophet, he goes to the Most High and he asks him what happens to the soul when it leaves the body. And then he tells him about the ones that kept his commandments, where they go, and the ones that despise his commandments and where they go. And it lines up with the parable of the rich man, when Lazarus, when the rich man died and he went to hell, so to speak, and he asked him to drop a little water on his tongue, and he said, "Well, I can't do that because there's a gulf between us." And he was in Abraham's bosom. But this book is printed by Cambridge, and it's if you read the regular Apocrypha, the book of Ezra stops at chapter 2, and it stops at 70 verses. Well, this adds the extra verses that were taken out of it. So you could get it on Amazon, and I would suggest getting it. And I could try to get a hold of you, Tony, and show you exactly where it's at.
Okay. Did you have a question though?
My question is what is your IG that you like? How I can get a hold of you? Which IG is it?
Oh, it's on the screen. Are we still on the screen, Alex? It's at Tony A. The Wiz. At Tony A. The Wiz. You spell the, not THE, but DA. Tony A. The Wiz. It's on the screen, and it's also on the description.
Okay.
Once you could just click it, and it'll take you straight to my page and straight to Ruben's page. Did you have a question for Ruben? Because you are our last caller.
You know, I barely caught the end of the this show you guys just did. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the beginning.
Okay.
I missed a lot of it, and definitely gonna look Ruben up on IG, and it's always good to hear of brothers that joining Christ, the Most High, in this
Thank you.
war that we were born into, which is the light against the dark,
Absolutely.
against the commandment keepers. So I appreciate you guys, man, and have a good one.
Thank you. Have a blessed
you.
night. Okay, Ruben, we could take these off. We are good. I just have one last question, and we'll end it. Now, I know we talked about, and I want to just mention them again. Ralph Perez and David Mack. They ended up working for Suge. Did you at all ever have any type of interaction with Suge Knight?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What made them go work for him? Were they just working undercover for him?
No, I know he recruited a lot of the officers, but most of them were morenos.
Okay.
Black guys. I don't recall him ever recruiting like Mexicans or whites. It was mostly blacks, and I guess he knew how to pick them, or
Okay.
maybe they had a security company and he would hire these guys and looking for officers.
Okay.
And that's how these guys were working for him. They were just doing work for him.
Okay. You think I don't know if you kept up with Suge Knight's trial. Do you think he'll ever get out?
I haven't kept up on the trial, but I know what happened. I know what he did, and it doesn't seem like he might get out.
Okay.
Don't look good.
Yeah. Okay, Ruben, I pretty much have asked you everything that I wanted to ask you. Is there anything, Ruben, that I didn't ask you, or anything you want to share?
No, I mean, we pretty much covered a lot of stuff, and it just basically just whatever people are going through out there, people that are struggling in any manner. I mean, you could be down in luck, depression, anything, addictions is not far. God's not far away for you to pray to Him or seek Him, and Jesus will respond.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed. No matter how dark your life seems, He will respond, and He'll even put people in your path to help you. And it's like He really cares about us as much as we don't know and understand it, or whatever our upbringing is. It's not too difficult, and your life will change. The Word of God is powerful in our lives, so that will start working in your heart too.
Absolutely. Alex, anything else you care to mention? I know you had a question earlier.
Yeah, no, that was the only question
Okay.
about the death row record.
Okay. Ruben, and in closing, would you mind closing in a short prayer?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Go for it.
Father, thank you for the opportunity for us to fellowship and just share. More important, the work that you do in us, how you've changed us, been working in us. I pray that just the miracle of how you saved us, Father, touches other people's hearts to know that you're available for them too. That we're not an exception. You are one that doesn't have a favoritism, but you do want us to seek you, Father, and you're there for us. I pray that you minister to people that are struggling right now, touch their hearts, give them hope, help them understand that they're not alone, and that you are there for them, that you want to heal the brokenness, whatever troubles they're going through. Minister to the people out there and touch their hearts, Father, and know that they're not alone, no matter how the world looks or things look out there, that you're the God of the impossible and the God of miracles and the resurrection power. We thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I want to give once again my shout out. Once again, I want to thank Alex Cervantes Enterprise. I want to thank Norbert News with Norbies. I want to thank Marvelous Inc., the Hip Hop Jedi, my son B. Scanless, our moderator, Magic Girl, and I also once again want to thank Anthony Rockin Chicano for connecting the dots, connecting me with Ruben. Ruben, thank you very much for coming through and blessing us. So other than that, see you guys here on Wednesday, okay? Wednesday, we got another special guest, and see you guys then. Thank you, Alex. Take us away.